You know that specific low-level anxiety that lives in the back of your brain? It's there when you're standing in the checkout line, glancing at the total and doing a quick mental audit of your pending transactions. It's that tiny flinch when you see an unexpected service light pop up on your dashboard. Most people think that feeling only goes away when you hit some astronomical number, $1 million, a private island, a retirement fund. But they're wrong. There is a very specific, much smaller number that acts like a psychological off switch for that survival anxiety. And once you flip that switch, the way you move through the world changes fundamentally. That number is $20,000. My name is Vic, and I spend way too much time thinking about the hidden mechanics of money, not just the math, but the weird ways it messes with our heads. If you're tired of feeling like you're just one bad luck event away from a total collapse, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Let's talk about why your first $20,000 is actually the hardest and most important money you'll ever make. Here's the thing. Most financial advice is built on the lie that money is linear. They tell you that if you save $100 today, you're just $100 better off. But in the real world, money has a gravity to it. When you have zero, the gravity of the world is pulling you down. Every bill, every emergency, every flat tire is a weight pulling you back to earth. But at $20,000, you reach what I call financial escape velocity. Now look, $20,000 isn't quit your job and move to Bali money, but it is I don't have to be afraid of my mailbox money. And that shift from fear to power is where wealth actually begins. Psychologists have this concept called cognitive bandwidths. Think of your brain like a computer. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, 80% of your CPU is dedicated to survival. How am I paying rent? Can I afford this grocery trip? What if the car breaks down? When your brain is busy surviving, it literally doesn't have the processing power to be creative, to look for opportunities, or to think long-term. You're playing checkers while the world is playing chess. But here's what most people don't realize. $20,000 is the threshold where that CPU usage drops from 80% to maybe 5%. Suddenly, you have surplus intelligence. You start seeing the world differently. You aren't looking for a way to survive the week, you're looking for a way to win the decade. Let's look at the math of the mountain. Imagine you're pushing a massive stone up a steep incline. This is your first $20,000. You're sweating, your muscles are screaming, and if you stop for even a second, that stone is going to roll back and crush you. This is why the first few years of saving feel so soul-crushing. You save $5,000, but then your transmission blows, and suddenly you're back at zero. It feels like the universe is actively trying to keep you poor. Statistically, getting to that first $20,000 takes the average disciplined saver about 18 to 24 months. It's a long, boring, lonely road. But the second $20,000, that happens in about 14 months. The third, maybe 10. This isn't some secret rich person magic. It's just the physics of capital. When you have $20,000 sitting in a boring S&P 500 index fund or even a high-yield savings account, that money starts making its own money. If you get a modest 8% return, that's $1,600 a year. Now, you might think, Vic, $1,600 isn't life-changing. But wait, that $1,600 is pure money. You didn't have to trade your time for it. You didn't have to deal with a boss for it. You didn't have to commute in traffic for it. That money was created out of thin air because you had the discipline to reach the threshold. It's your money's first paycheck. And as that paycheck grows, it starts doing more of the work so you don't have to. Now, you might be thinking, but Vic, inflation is high and the world is expensive. $20K is nothing. This is where it gets interesting, and where I have to be a little bit blunt. Most people use the world is expensive as an excuse to never start. They see the mountain, realize how high it is, and decide to just set up camp at the bottom and buy stuff they don't need to feel better about being stuck. But here's what most people miss. Having $20,000 changes your relationship with work. When you have $0, you're a hostage. You have to take the abuse from the manager. You have to work the extra shift you didn't want. You have to stay in a dead-end role because a 2-week gap in pay would mean losing your apartment. $20,000 is negotiation capital. When you have that cushion, you don't walk into your boss's office to beg for a raise. You walk in to discuss your value. There's a quiet confidence that comes with knowing you can survive for a year without them. Ironically, when you don't desperately need the money, people tend to give you more of it. Employers can smell desperation, and they price it into your salary. When you're not desperate, your market value instantly goes up. This is the hidden tax on the poor. If you can't afford to walk away, you're forced to accept the lowest possible price for your time. By saving that first $20,000, you're essentially buying your own freedom from the bottom of the labor market. But here's the trap. I see this all the time, and it's heartbreaking. Someone works their tail off, they hit that $20,000 mark, and for the first time in their life, they feel wealthy. So what do? They go to the dealership. They decide they deserve a reward for all that discipline. They take that $20,000 seed, the seed that was supposed to grow into a forest of freedom, and they use it as a down payment on a $50,000 SUV. Now, look, I get it. We all want the shiny thing, but this is the middle-class trap. The average car payment in 2026 is hovering around $700. If you take that $20,000 and lock yourself into a massive monthly payment, you haven't rewarded yourself. You've just built a nicer cage. You've handed your negotiation capital right back to the bank. You're back to being a hostage, only now you have leather seats. The wealthy don't buy the reward with their seed money. They buy it with the fruit the seed produces. If you take that $20,000 and leave it alone for 20 years, even if you never add another cent, it grows into over $93,000 at 8% return. If you add just $500 a month, you're looking at nearly $400,000. That is the difference between retiring in dignity or working until you're 80. The $20,000 threshold also changes your cost of living in a way most people don't talk about. When you have money, life actually gets cheaper. When you're broke, you buy the cheap tires that last 1 year because you can't afford the good ones that last 5. You pay the convenience fees because you're always in a rush. You pay interest on your credit cards. You pay the high insurance premiums because you can't afford a higher deductible. When you have $20,000, you can play the long game. You can buy in bulk. You can pay your insurance annually for a 10% discount. You can wait for the sale. You stop paying the poor man's tax and start reaping the saver's dividend. So, how do you get there? It's not about some complex trading strategy or finding the next meme coin. It's about boring, aggressive, relentless consistency. It's about realizing that for the next 18 months, you are in a war for freedom. You have to be willing to look unsuccessful for a little while so you can be wealthy forever. That means driving the car that's already paid for. It means saying no to the expensive trip. It means being the person who brings their lunch to work while everyone else is spending $20 at the cafe. Most people won't do it. They'd rather look rich today than actually be wealthy tomorrow. But if you're still watching this, I suspect you're not most people. Hitting $20,000 is the ultimate proof of concept. It proves to you and to the world that you are in control of your impulses. It proves that you can build something from nothing. The first $20,000 is a grind. The first $100,000 is a battle. The first $1,000,000 is inevitability. Don't stop at the base of the mountain because the climb looks hard. The view from the top, the view of a life lived without financial fear, is worth every single sacrifice you're making right now. Trust the process, trust the math, but most importantly, trust yourself to be the person who stays the course. Would you like me to break down the exact high-yield accounts and index funds I would use to park that first $20,000? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.